Kia ora, welcome to the box seat, harness racing fans, or those who are not harness racing fans. Hope your Wednesday has been good. Woodland Stud are here to take us through, Greg, what was a crazy old day at Ashburton on Monday, because usually the Flying Stakes is moving day for the market for the New Zealand Trotting Cup. I'm not sure you, I, or the people at home learnt that much about Cup Day on Monday.
Yeah, the murky, good evening to you, Michael. The murky waters just got a little bit cloudier, didn't it? We'll talk a bit about the start and then what unfolded after that. Dream About Me had her chance and Eamon Maguire was a bit quick, and the Trotters is what is a major talking point in harness racing at the moment. There's so much depth.
It's the same story though, isn't it? Because I think the first 5 in the Ashburton Flying Stakes you can make a case for the New Zealand Cup, and you can make a case for the first 4 or 5 in the Trot. But there's so many other elements to come into play. Chicago Bull comes to town at Alexandra Park on Friday night. Again, Temporale Le Monde there. And then we have Tiger Tara doing his thing. So we've got lots coming up on the show, mate, including also an update on the latest series of JCA challenges against some of these exclusions. And Lazarus, barrier draw came out this morning, has barrier 2, which is inch perfect for the Breeders' Crown on Sunday around lunchtime New Zealand time. So that, with all this, Gregory, busy
a lot to get through, yeah. Flying Stakes for us. We will have a look at Tiger Tara. He's just flying at the moment. And he's starting again this week. More about that as the show unfolds. We'll have a look at the Flying Stakes finish. Hats off, yes, Sire Stakes heat. Something a little bit different early on in the race there. We'll talk about Pat's Delight doing the business in the Selwyn Pool Memorial Tuapeka Cup and doing it in great style. And a 12-year-old, not equine, Humane, doing the business in a punting competition. Let's get into the Flying Stakes though and go back to Mark Mack's call of the last 400 metres or so of what is the key lead-up race to the Trotting Cup. The winner of this invariably goes on and goes a great race in the Cup and often wins it. We know that 13 or 14 times that has happened. We'll get Mark to bring them home, and Michael Lai will analyse it post that.
Past the 200, leads at a neck on Eamon Maguire. Out to Orlando's a length and a half away. Dream About Me ahead on Eamon Maguire from out to Orlando. Eamon Maguire now ahead on the mare. Eamon Maguire's going to be too good. Eamon Maguire won it, has beaten Dream About Me. Third out to Orlando, then Stark.
This is an outstanding horse, as we know, but when he stepped like that and got himself in the trail, he was going to be incredibly hard to beat.
Yeah, he just travelled great, but yeah, once he's in that just sort of close and handy, you know, he's just got lightning speed.
Sitting in behind Dream About Me, at what point did you think you'd have her covered?
Look, she had race fitness on her side compared to him. I wasn't too sure, but I knew I'd had just such an easy, soft trip, and I know he is fast, so I was pretty comfortable and confident.
What about preparation-wise? What does he do now? Is it Addington Raceway for the races? Is it the Cup trial? Or what's his pathway? Or is that not really planned out yet?
Oh, Greg, look, it's not really planned out. We just take each run as they come and see how they get through it. And then just, you know, depending how big they pull up, where we go and how soon. Yeah, so we'll probably just have a good look at him this afternoon and tomorrow and make plans from there.
Speaking of plans, you know what the next question's going to be. You've got a few options drive-wise. 8 days ago, Cruz Bromack won the Methven Cup. You've been on the fixer and now this guy. So there's a bit of thinking to go as to which one you're going to drive on the big day.
Oh, there is. I might have to put them all in a hat, I think, and just draw a name, because the fixer's back in full swing. He seems great. This guy, you just can't knock him. He's so professional, and I was super impressed with Cruz. So, yeah, don't ask me that one, Greg.
Yeah, better than you than me to decide that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, this formula that Graham Anderson has come up with, Titan Banner, who placed in the Cup, of course, and now this horse, it's working for them, isn't it? It's only had half a dozen starts under their barn and a couple of Group 1 wins and now this Group 2 victory. He's very, very fast, Michael, and sitting behind Dream About Me was just a little bit too quick for her.
Yeah, and if she has a fault, Dream About Me, she's a bit one-paced, but over 2 miles in the Cup, that may not be as big a deal, but look, a long way from home, this was a 1-2 job because the leader or the trailer was going to get home, as they so often do in the Ashburton Flying Stakes. That was exaggerated even more by the fact that Star Galleria missed away a little bit, but ultimately she missed away a lot. With this horse, when he got beat last year in the Easter Cup over 3-2, I doubted his staying ability, and I still don't think he's as good a stayer as he is a sprinter. But that doesn't mean he can't win the New Zealand Cup. He has good manners. If you put him in that spot in the New Zealand Cup, he has a massive chance. Part of me would still love him to be trained by Graham Anderson for a really nice Otago story. But the reality is in the modern racing world, it's just so hard to travel that far all the time, Greg, and you've got to wonder if you're doing it for one horse, whether it's fair on the other horses in your team. So he's in the right place. Clear pass mark for him. Dream About Me was good without being dazzling, but she doesn't often dazzle.
It's incredible to think she's won $1 million, isn't it? And you're right. Someone said to me on the day, "Oh, she's got no speed." Well, they did run home in 54 and change, so she has got speed. But when there's a horse with more speed sitting on her back, that made it difficult for you.
I think if you put a bunch of horses...
they actually broke Lazarus's New Zealand record, which he set in the Kaikoura Cup last year.
So many records seem to get broken these days. I'm not sure what most of them mean. I think until a horse breaks 150 for a mile in this country, I'm not really sure what most of our records mean. Yeah. Here's the start of the race. Now, this is crucial because this segues nicely into the third and fourth horses. So here's the start, and they're standing and mucking around. We'll get to that, but look out wide. Key component, Star Galleria, Little Gallop. Ultimate Machete, who's your cup favourite, decent old gallop. And Greg, if you are on him for the cup, look at this, he's really rolling into a gallop there. That doesn't make you feel comfortable.
No, it doesn't. Neither does the way the standing start procedure, as some of the drivers spent a bit of time in the stewards' room post the race meeting actually to discuss that.
So tell me, what were they discussing? Because you were there and I wasn't. So
well, we'll get a chance
what were they talking about?
We're obviously having a good look at the start here. I would have thought the procedure needs to be consistent and therefore the way you start, whether it's an open class race like this, he really put on an act, didn't he, Ultimate Machete, or any standing start race, that it should be the same, and isn't it the starter's objective to get them all away on an even keel? When we go back and have another look at the start...
So just hold on. So why were the drivers in the room though? What were they talking about?
Well, they felt that it wasn't a fair start.
So they protested or
No,
or
it was post the race meeting, about how and why when they were all walking forward, they weren't just allowed to go. Now, it's either a stand or it's a walk, but it can't be one or other or mixed up depending on how you feel on the day. I know the stewards have said to me in the past, you guys all talk about this leading into the Cup, but you'll watch here, these horses all walk forward in a moment, and when they do, why they aren't allowed to go...
Who was touching? Ready now.
Prior to that, I'm not really sure.
Dream About Me.
I'm not really sure.
My attitude to it is this. The lack of consistency...
That's the word.
And the belligerence of some people involved is the issue. Like, I know nothing about standing start driving. I've never driven in a proper standing start. But if Mark Purdon and Tony Herlihy see a problem with this and want to go to the stewards and talk about it, then there is a problem. They are not natural troublemakers. They're not people who are drama. You know, they don't want to see things that aren't true. This happened a couple of years ago in the New Zealand Trotting Cup, where we had no brief, and therefore the drivers had no brief, and therefore the punters, that's you at home, this is your money, had no brief on whether they are going to stand, walk up and take off, or stand. Now, it's 2018. I'm not saying anti-standing start. No, I'm not saying that. I think the anti-standing start army, which there was a very big one of a couple of years ago, has dissipated. I think most people realise standing starts have a very important role to play, and I would not want to see the New Zealand Cup not be a standing start. But what I want to do, and what I want to be advising people when I'm writing for the New Zealand Herald or on trackside with you and Craig on Cup Day, is say, well, this is what's going to happen, but I can't do that because I don't know.
Neither did the drivers.
Exactly, and it's not good enough for the starter to say, well, they all know, and everybody shakes their hands, and it's not good enough for the JCA and the RIU to say, well, no, that they do know, because they don't. They don't know. I don't know, and I've done this my entire adult life. You don't know. Mark Purdon and Tony Herlihy don't know.
Incidentally, Ricky May was standing outside the room. I think he wanted to be in there. He was drawn out wide with AG's White Sox as well. So when you put those three heads together...
Greg, here's what has to happen. And it has to happen, and if somebody doesn't do this, it is a lack of leadership. Somebody needs to send out, excuse me, on either the website, the national website, because we have a website, or an email to every horse person in this country. This is what standing starts will be. They will be this. We will walk up and we will start. Or you will start from a standing platform. There'll be no movement prior. Until that's done, when a serious punter says to me, what do you like in the New Zealand Cup? I'll say, well, look, I like this or this, but
It has to step away.
I can't advise you what to back. Now, that sounds, I'm not getting too carried away with this. This is people's money. Now, those same people who bet on on Monday, can bet in the Cox Plate this week. And I know what's going to happen at the start of the Cox Plate, and so do you, and so does everybody else. So why don't we get this right? And this belligerence from some people that it's all right, the system we're doing now, well, it's not all right. Because I am reluctant to bet in standing start races, and if Mark Purdon, Tony Hurley, and you're telling me Ricky May, are also unaware what's going to happen at the start, then we are the only one of the 3 codes where we do not know how our races are going to start. That is not good enough.
Okay, we'll see what unfolds as a result of that. Michael, let's hear from the Beaten Brigade.
Tim, Dream About Me, she's been pretty brave once again. What did it feel like out there?
You look really happy with her today, Matt. Obviously, worked to the front again. She's manners are putting her in great spots at the moment, and the way she travelled from the half, I was really happy with her, and it's just unlucky. Probably had one of the quickest horses in the race sitting on me back the whole way. So, she's been brave right to the line, and she had another nice blow. So, she's looking well heading towards second Tuesday, November.
Els Rolando, your thoughts on the run?
Yeah, he began quite nicely and got a nice run throughout the race, and another one where they walked around and sprinted home, and he hit the line real strong. And he's going great.
Stephen, reports on Star Galleria's run today?
Yeah, well, everyone's really happy, obviously. He was a little bit slow away. I knew from about the 1,000 on, the way the tempo of the race was going, he was too far back. So I was really just looking for him to hit the line strong, and he certainly did that.
Mark, overall view of Ultimate Machete's run today?
I was very happy with him, just apart from the start. After that, the horse's performance was very good.
Okay, what's your plan with him now, Mark?
Make a decision tomorrow, a final decision anyway. At this stage, I'm probably leaning towards the 2nd of November at Addington.
Nathan Captain Dolmio, your thoughts on his run?
He went okay, just got a wee bit rough the last bend, but he's finished it off, so I think sort of just heading into the Cup now, so fingers crossed everything goes well on that day.
Ricky Agee's White Sox, what are your thoughts on what happened out there?
Yeah, well, the start was a bit of a muck-up again. You can't be back running when they run halves so fast, but he felt really sound and he felt good all the way, but like I said, he had no show really if he didn't begin good.
Let's talk about some of these performances. Older Orlando just flying at the moment, went terrific. Obviously, Ultimate Machete, hand time to break 53 seconds and was angling for a run part of that last 300 metres. So, his run very good, but obviously needs to get the start right.
Star Galleria was
Star Galleria was okay.
Put Star Galleria where Eamon Maguire was, I think he wins too.
He's fast enough to win.
I think he does.
Yep.
Ultra Orlando, ever since the Easter Cup last year, where he beat Eamon Maguire fair and square, coming from behind him over 2 miles, he's looked a potential New Zealand Cup winner, but because he's off the unruled, he's off a handicap. In a big field, that's a huge thing to overcome. And Ultimate Machete, we know can win, but the reality is this, Greg. He's had 3 starts this season, hasn't run a place. Now, I still think he might be the best horse in the race, maybe, but it's really hard to back them when you start having those standing start issues. I think they might be able to calm him down, I'm not sure, but if Mark and Natalie have had an Achilles heel in the last 10 years, it has been the standing start manners of their younger horses coming through from age group racing.
You instantly think of Auckland Reactor.
Well, Adore Me blew the start of a Hunter Cup. We've had so many of them over the years who have gone to races where they've galloped early doors. Because what happens is at 2 they run like hell, at 3 they run like hell, and at 4 it's almost always mobile racing. So they get to either late 4-year-old or 5-year-old and they're like, what's going on here? And you have the occasional horse like Lazarus who just falls into it beautifully. And their horses tend to be very well mannered, but they don't really have any other Achilles heel. They're such great trainers, but this is the one thing which, because they're trying to turn speed horses into these standing start horses. And I spoke to Mark about it plenty of times. I said, can you give them too much standing start practice? He said, well, we don't overdo it because you don't want them to
go dog.
Exactly, get fixated on it. But the list is quite long. And Ultimate Machete, it may not have been his fault, but he might be one of those. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because at $4.80, do you want to take the chance? Because is he dominant enough he can miss away in a cup and win?
No.
So that's why you get to park it.
I keep hearing people say, let's have a look at the market for it, that there's no depth to this New Zealand Cup. Well, no, there's no Lazarus. Well, hang on, let's start going through these millionaires.
Who said that?
Oh, there's a little bit of a chat, especially on course, about this year's Cup, it hasn't got a real champion.
Well, the one thing is there's plenty of depth.
Yeah,
but
there
you're
is.
right, it may not have a champion.
No, but hey, ultimately
the first 7 or 8 there are Group 1 winners.
That's right. Yep.
So down to Star Galleria, they are Group 1 winners, and then AG's White Sox has won 2 Group 1s last year. So just because there's no Lazarus doesn't mean there's actually more depth
than probably in the last 10 years, to be honest.
You can't back Ultimate Machete at 420 for reasons mentioned. Tiger Tara will see shortly 550. He might go close to starting favourite. Dream About Me is where she needs to be, I think. Eamon Maguire. Chicago Bull's interesting. Heads to Alexandra Park this week, off 20 metres, Greg. Now, it's his first ever standing start, and he needs to give Jack's Legend 10 metres, which won't be easy to do, because if they both begin evenly, Jack's Legend will have track position on him. So that's really interesting where he goes to this week. And then Cruz Bromack we've seen. I think down from Ultimate Machete down to the Fixer, they're all winning chances, and the ones below them, Captain Dolmio, Forgotten Highway, Ultra Orlando, and
They're all going
AG's
great.
White Sox.
Yes.
If any of those win a place in the Cup,
You wouldn't be surprised.
exactly.
No.
So it's very intriguing. I asked you this recently. Who was your top pick? You went Dream About Me.
Originally.
Are you still there?
I know we've discussed at length the standing start. I still believe Ultimate Machete will win the Cup if he begins on an even keel with them. But again, you're asking me what I'm tipping as to what I'm backing, and sometimes they can be two different things.
I can't back him at 420.
No.
And it's almost impossible to see him shortening between now and then, because if he doesn't go to Kaikoura, so you'll see winning form maybe this week from Tiger Tara, Chicago Bull or Jack's Legend could win.
Yep.
I see pressure coming from the other side of the market. I don't see how he can shorten.
If he goes to the second at Addington, which it sounds like he will, and wins there, then maybe. But
again, he's probably not going to beat half the other favourites for the Cup.
Look, Tiger Tara's got a record in the Cup already, having been placed in the last 2 behind Lazarus, and in the form he's in, Michael, this was another terrific performance. Of course, we know this week he goes to the Cranbourne Cup off the second row. He's just in sublime form. He'll love the 2 miles, and he loves Addington.
He just, and those Betters Delights, now here he is in front, of course, winning at Menangle last Saturday. They just keep on trucking. There's a little bit of Lazarus about him. He's actually a poor man's Lazarus. That's a good way to describe him. And he just keeps on going. Victoria Cup, this win here, Cranbourne this week. He's going to be awfully fit by the time he gets
What's
here.
he beating here, though? I know they're running time.
No.
Like this week, for example, he races San
Joe
Carlo,
Samamia, you know what?
Shadowfax, Carla's Pixel.
Agreed. They're not very good, but then again, this isn't a very good New Zealand Cup field. It's a very even field, but it's not. He doesn't have to beat Lazarus. Now, there's no need to question what he can and can't beat, because twice last year he beat Lazarus. Twice last year. So that argument's already been finished. And if Lazarus wasn't in the Inter-Dominion last year, he would have won that too. And you can make a case that he was the second best runner of the New Zealand Cup last year. So
Yes.
what he's beaten or not beating at the moment is largely irrelevant. The Chicago Bull's the interesting one, because if he goes to Alexandra Park this week and beats Jack's Legend fair and square, then you go, wow, this is really good. If he gets beaten by Jack's Legend, which I think he might, then the knockers will come. For some reason, he's a wonderful little horse.
He's a little horse.
People seem to like knocking him. I don't know why there's any pot on the horse. I think maybe it's because the hyperbole out of WA is so big that when you have one stream of thought, then the other stream of thought bounces back. That sort of, negative, positive effect. But I feel a little bit sorry for Chicago Bull. He's done virtually nothing wrong in his life, and people seem to want to pot him all the time. But that potting will continue if he gets beat at Alexandra Park this week.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing him there. I understand he's travelled over. Didn't settle in initially, but he's all good to go now, and we're looking forward to seeing him at the park. We're about to take a break here on your box seat. When we return, Use to Me at Hara's Dominion. It's shaping up as one of the races of the week. Welcome back into your box seat. Time for us to have a look at the trotters, Michael. When you go through the flying mile at Ashburton, it's the who's who of trotting in the last 30 years. Tobago kicked it all off. Call Me Now a couple of times. Sundon won the race. Pride of
Lyle
Petite,
Creek.
Take a Moment. List goes on and on. I Can Do
Pride
it.
of Petite won it.
Yeah, Pride of Petite won
So
it.
she never won at Addington in 19 starts.
No, unreal, isn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah, deep race this year. Barrier draws were the key, particularly for Harriet of Mott. What we missed here, of course, is her galloping in the early part, but Mark Hula comes out here, just puts in a rough step, and Clint had to grab hold, and then once he really knuckles down to pick up Great Things Happen, who won it last year, was a very good performance, get Mark Matt to call the latter stages, and then head from Clint forward.
Great Things Happen a length, half a length. Markula coming too fast, and Markula bomb Great Things Happen. Third over Ronald J. Fourth the lever is Gift, and hey yo, Harriet of Mott.
Tell us about the run you got, because he was beautifully positioned in the 1-1 throughout, and then once you come out about the 300 metre mark, he actually put in a bit of a rough step, didn't he?
He went away good and strong at the start, and I was just lucky enough to get in the 1-1 just from what happened around us, and yeah, he put in a rough one there at the top of the straight, so I was just lucky. He's pretty honest, and when he does mess up like that, he comes back trotting pretty quickly.
Were you always confident you were going to pick up 154.5, so that equals the track record, pick up Great Things Happen? Where were your confidence level at the 100?
I was confident when he started gaining on him, but before that I was pretty flat, to be sure, but to be fair. But no, he's grounded out. Timmy Butt told me a couple of years ago, you've got to train for these mile races as if the 2 mile races, stamina events, and that's what I've done with him, and it's worked, I think.
Okay, what about pathway to the Dominion now? Does he go through the free-for-all? Does he go to Kaikoura?
We'll discuss that, see what we like tomorrow. Probably not Kaikoura, I would think. But yeah, we'll have a look at that tomorrow.
Hey, congratulations to you, well done.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, pretty rapt to win the race. He has it up there in his top 3, Dominion Road Cup and the Flying Mile, as the top 3 races to win in this country. Let's go back and have a look at the start, and thanks to Glenn Pawn for putting this in, because now I can show you Harriet of Mott, drawn 1. She gets a bit claustrophobic, and when you're asking her early, she's got the half hobbles on, she has to try and run, and she just gets a bit hot, particularly with Great Things Happen alongside her. Mark Hula comes out and ends up lobbing 1-1, which ultimately was the winning of the race.
Yeah, Harriet of Mott is one of those horses who we all love, but that was always going to be a tricky barrier draw for her. Like, she settles in the trail, she probably wins that
She
race.
ran 6. She went magnificent. You watch where she comes from here.
She's last.
Yeah.
So she went super. I thought Great Things Happen was home. I thought he's absolutely home. And there's Gavin looking around, and he said to you, looked around, saw Mark Kohler in the 1-1, and thought, oh, well, that's not good.
No.
And it wasn't.
No.
I thought he was home. I'm not sure that Mark Kohler actually ran past Great Things Happen by that much. I also think Great Things Happen just came back to him a bit, which often they'll do when they're in front. They get a little bit tired, and you just keep going at the same speed and you catch them because they start to slow down. Look, he's just losing his gait there a touch, but this is a great comeback story, Mark Kohler. I'll be honest, about a year ago when I think I backed him in the free-for-all, and he really underperformed, and I thought, well, I'm not sure about you, brother. I'm not sure we'll see the best of you. But, old school horse people, they put him out for a long time, gave him a big break. It's a really feel-good story, and when you consider last year, they won the Dominion with a 90-1 chance, and now this horse opened $26 to win the Dominion. They have a chance at about a 2,400-1 double to win the Dominion, and on this there's no reason he can't. I still think the best version of him is mobile mile sprinting. I'm not saying he won't win a Dominion, but I just think he goes best in those races because he does have natural speed and can hold it for a long time. Well done to Clint. He's copped a bit of abuse over the years for his driving, some of it from me, but he drove that into perfect. Second horse was good. Harriet of Mott, no grief. What do you make of Winterfell?
Well, he has a gallop late in the piece. I just think he's not ready for this, but let's get to the beaten drivers and hear what they had to say.
Gavin, Great Things Happen. Talk me through his run out there today.
Pretty happy, Matt, because like I said in the pre-race warm-up, we've been swimming him, and he probably just hasn't been quite as good as he could be the last week or two. He's a bit backsore, changing muscles, using different muscles in the pool. So the last few days he's started to improve, and I was ecstatic with that. Little surprised we were that quick. It probably didn't feel that quick, but I felt we were home all the way down the straight. Then with 50 to go, he just hit the wall. But Clint's done a great job, and he's a good horse, Mark Hall. There's no shame being run down by him, and he gave him a great trip today. So we're wrapped with that, and he should come forward and move on with it. So we're looking forward to Dominion.
Timmy Gallop behind the gate today. What do you put that down to?
Yeah, heavy hands. Obviously, yeah, when the gate left, she just got a bit lost. Look, she's done it but in the past from the one hole, so maybe just put a line through it, and hopefully back to the stand. Her stand start manners have been great this season, so willing to forgive her today. Okay, did she feel good afterwards? Yeah, look, the ground she made up, I didn't ask her for a whole lot, but once I whipped the plugs, I thought she did a good effort to finish where she did, and sort of did it well within herself. So she hit the line good on a good time, but it only looks like a sixth in the book, so it is what it is.
Bob, you made a clean getaway. What happened after a couple of 100 metres?
Yeah, she just put one in, sort of. I wasn't expecting it, but luckily she came straight back down and didn't lose anything from it anyway.
Yeah, okay, she looks like she ran well in the end?
Yeah, just got tired the last bit, she's been away from hard racing for a long time, so we're just hoping that it's race fitness really, and she improves off that.
Mark Winterfell's second run in open grade today. What happened out there?
Yeah, look, he's just not really ready for it, Matt, so I think we've just got to drop him back in grade and start off a handicap and lesser trots and just try and help him a wee bit. But mentally, he's just not really ready for the big boys.
The old transition year, eh? The 4-year-old. It's always a challenge, isn't it?
Just go to show you what a great horse Monbay must have been, because Monbay just slid into that 4-year-old scene, as did Speeding Spur as a latter season 4-year-old. And just had those huge years. It's so hard to do.
It is. Let's have a look at the market for the Dominion, and we'll see that obviously Mark Cooler has moved quite significantly from the 26 into 6. Harriet of Mott, I don't think she'll lose too many admirers from that performance. Well, I know she won't, because she went a great race afterwards. Speeding Spur goes to Kaikoura on Monday, takes on his old mate in Monbay. More about that shortly. Le Monde and Temporale, both off 50 metres, 2700 Alexandra Park Friday night, so a different preparation for so many of these trotters.
Like the Cup, different form lines, Greg, and it's really hard. Like, how do you possibly line up Kai Valley Bleu?
Well, Kai Valley Bleu and Tornado Valley both go to the Cranbourne Trotters Cup this week.
And a lot of people would look at Kai Valley Bleu and go, oh, typical, what's it doing coming over? People get dirty on the Australian form. It came here last year and beat most of our best trotters fair and square.
Went great in both Cup week races.
Well, but also went to the National Trot, was great, and won the race at Cambridge on Christmas Eve. Again, it's very similar to the New Zealand Cup. You can make a case for those top 8, apart from Winterfell, so that should have question marks next to it. He's probably almost certainly not going.
Ronald J was much improved.
Exactly. So again, you get to that top bunch, say 6 or 8, muscles galore. Tornado Valley, if he turns up, clearly has a chance, although I think the free for all's better for him than Ronald J and Monty Python in the race last year. So Woodstone, you get to this bunch of horses where there's 7 or 8 big winning chances, and then a whole other bunch. Again, it's without Monbay there. Well, 2 years ago, the Cup had a $1.50 chance and a $1.30 chance in the Dominion. This season, we've got $8 the field for the trot, or $6 to $8 the field, but that'll bounce around pretty quickly. And the Cups should be $5 the field. I think it's a real strength. It's a different type of carnival, but a strength. Just on Monbay, back at the trials today, and it feels like we've been waiting for the promise of Monbay to return, but it seems like it's actually here. Like, worked really well privately after the trials last week at Rangiora, and now he's in the field with Speeding Spur at Kaikoura, and gee, it'll be good to see him back.
It will be, yeah. He's only 7. It feels like he's 17.
I'm not sure what to make of it, because as a betting option, barrier 1 off 10 metres at Kaikoura, first start for 2 years, it sounds impossible.
But it's Monbay.
But what do the bookies do? They can't put him out $7.
Yeah.
And if they put him out $2.50, then that's 40% of the market gone. So how they rate him and how we and you at home rate him is going to be really interesting, because I think we all know he's the best trotter. But if Winks hadn't raced for 2 years, would you expect it to come out and win a Group 1 fresh up? You might. But it's an interesting one. He's up against a good horse and Speeding Spur. Their storylines in the last 2 years are so amazing, because Monbay hasn't raced for 2 years, and Speeding Spur has had career-ending injuries twice and come back from both of them. So it's just a wonderful story to have them both there. When you put all those form lines together, Temporale Le Monde, Kai Valley Bleu, Tornado Valley, and then all the horses we just saw race at Ashburton, Gee, that's a hell of a race.
It is a terrific
Well, hell of
contest.
two
isn't it?
races, actually, because Mombay might go to the free-for-all on the Tuesday, but then not the Dominion.
Yeah, it's...
who's your pick there? So who's...
Well, I said to you last week, Mark Kohler. I went with him.
I'm sticking with Temporale. I don't know. I think he might be a better horse this season, but there's no definitive opinion, to be honest.
Got out over the weekend, Michael, and put together a couple of stories for New Zealand Cup week. One with Mitchell Kerr on Forgotten Highway, which is a great story in itself, but we went out to Ken Ford's place, caught up with a family there and had a chat to these two lads to get their thoughts. What do you reckon about the Dominion this year, Amaretto's son or Mark Kohler?
I don't know. Both of them were pretty good, and Jack did win it last year. Amaretto's son, he did win it last year, and he probably does have a chance. But also Mark Kohler, because he is a good horse, and I reckon he could have a chance of winning it as well.
What do you think, Sam? Mark Kohler, maybe?
Yeah.
I thought you were mouthing that. Welcome back into your box seat with Woodlands. Michael Guerin, great to see Glenn Harwood back in the training ranks and winning.
Before we get to that, before the break, they're Clint Ford's boys,
Both boys, yep.
I'm not sure that's how you're supposed to hold a cat.
No.
That cat didn't look entirely comfortable, to be honest.
Do you reckon Sam was keen on Mark Kohler?
What a hyper little dude he is, isn't he? And it's one of the great things about, in most harness racing families, is the involvement of, no, not the cats, but the kids and everybody else. That's great stuff. So we've got that for Cup Day, have we?
Yeah, the story on Forgotten Highway will probably be Cup Day, and we'll use the other one leading into the Dominion.
Yeah, Glenn Harwood, who used to train a lot in the old days, and drove a bit. And these days he's in charge of the stud side at Rosslyn Stud. And yeah, it's a big deal, it's a big joint, and he does a super job. I've had horses out there before spelling, and he looks after them a treat. So I think he probably trains the old horse just to keep the
All Stars Blue Jean was probably one of his best. Shivner.
Yep. So basically this is the property where John and Josh Dickey train. Yep. So there's a breeding establishment and adjusting side to that. So Glenn probably rolls the old horse around there and had a winner last week at Cambridge. So
She's Puka. Good on him.
Well-respected guy.
Yeah.
Well-liked guy too.
Yeah, good horseman for sure. Let's get into the Sires Stakes, and Ultimate Sniper's got a bit to live up to, being the brother to Ultimate Machete. Here's the start of this race, and one of the more interesting aspects of it we'll see shortly. That's him to the second row with, at this stage, the lime green cap on. There's a bit of action early on in this heat too. Plenty of speed off the machine, and you'll see in a moment the cap of Natalie's get flicked off, and as a result there is a gallop in this race too. Mitchell Kerr's runner. And right about here, Nat flicks the head, off goes the cap, and unfortunately that took, this is a bit better footage of it, isn't it? He just got on the chewy a wee bit, and as a result the cloth cap did come off.
Here's a lap to go. Wardan Delight's coming outside the leader. Now then Mark moves around with Jesse Duke and got the lead, and at that stage you would feel pretty comfortable that Jesse Duke could probably win. The capless Nat is back in the field, and
Zinny Mark was the horse I was trying to think of, which is Mitchell Kerr, so that hurt his chances big time, obviously.
It's one of the more unusual things I've seen. Then we've got a galloper, a better act, who still seems to have a few mental issues. So all this is unfolding at the front end of the field, and you're thinking to yourself, well, Ultimate Sniper you sort of forget about.
Well, especially with Jesse Duke in front of him and getting a relatively
But Mark
cruisy
did
lead.
warn us on the show last week. He thought Jesse Duke would be a run short, and clearly he was. Wardan Delight had one of those days where he went forward and backwards and just didn't end up comfortably where he wanted to be at any time. But that's all excuse making. The winner has come from the second line here, and it's second ever career start, Greg, and it's won like a good horse.
Yeah, very good horse. They get to about the 600 metre mark here, and Natalie goes, right, I need to get moving, gets out and around. I better get a lover who's racing really well at the moment for a maiden. taking on this quality in the Sire Stakes heat, goes another great race. So Natalie lobs up about here, and you're probably thinking, okay, we've got Jessie Duke, who started as a 2-year-old last season, having a cruisier run, him 3 wide, and Wardan Delight, who has explosive speed, sitting in the 1-1. So anything could possibly happen here. But Natalie just flicks him a couple of times with the whip. In the end, she puts it away because he just bullies his way to the lead and wins pretty comfortably in the end, Michael.
Leader on the inside is Jessie Duke. Leader on the outside now is Ultimate Sniper. Late Better Get a Lover's roaring home into money, but Ultimate Sniper too good. Second is a photo between Jessie Duke and Better Get a Lover.
So that was heat 3 of the Macmillan's Equine Feeds Sire Stakes. The 4th heat will be at Alexandra Park.
See those idiots there high-fiving?
Yes.
That's my nephew.
Oh, really?
Yep, Nick Rochford.
Oh, good on you, Nick. He gets a mention on the show. Brother Baz has got a mention in the past.
He's a lunatic. He is. I love him, but he's nuts. But
he looked pretty happy
he's
there.
a qualified engineer. How he got you through university is staggering. But anyway, what was also staggering was that win, second up. Not many horses do that second up because Jessie Duke was probably the best juvenile in the country last year, alongside another masterpiece. It's hard to tell on television, so I want to ask you this. Ultimate Machete's a big fella. He looks a smaller, more compact horse.
He is, but I reckon he'll fill out and he'll look similar. He's got the same black coat, you know, looks really sleek when he goes out onto the track, and I can see him only getting better, and he's now favourite for the Sire Stakes. We finally got a market out for the Sire Stakes, so let's hear what Natalie Rasmussen not only had to say about him, but the other All-Stars runners around him.
Natalie, often when you get a full brother, there's expectations, but it doesn't always work out that way, but he appears to have got all the family breeding.
Oh, he does. Look, we really liked him as a 2-year-old, but he was sort of a big, raw-boned horse as well, and we just thought Ultimate Machete later in life's had a few problems, so we sort of liked this guy. We thought we'd tip him out and look after him, let him mature a bit. I know it was a big ask tonight coming off of only the 1 start. I thought Ringcraft would go against him. I didn't think he could win tonight, but I thought he could win by Cup Day.
Look, he's set up on the speed and he's won pretty comfortably. You've actually had the stick under the arm, so he's done it under his own steam. Will he go to the last heat, or what will you plot a pathway now?
Oh, look, Greg, I think he wants another start or two just for experience alone. He's pulled up fantastic tonight, just looking at him now. So, yeah, I just think experience, that's what he's going to need for the big day.
Jessie Duke went great, worked to the lead, battled on solidly in the final as well. Wardan Delight was a bit unlucky.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just spoke to Timmy. He said he was just jogging in there. He was really happy with him. Jessie Duke will benefit from the run, and the other little guy, Better Act, just Manners just let him down. Johnny just said he sort of just slacked off a bit, so just a bit of a work in progress.
Here's the market for it. He opened.
Actually, I'll stop you there.
Well, it's not really a market. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, no, we can't bet into this. This is a totally non-farcical situation. They're not putting all the horses in. You have to start in a heat before you're allowed in the market. It's nonsense. It's total and utter nonsense. There's no point having it.
Okay, $2.80 if you want to back Ultimate Sniper at this stage.
The stupidest market we open every year, where we progressively add horses who race in heats. Because what means is we could have a horse, another masterpiece who's not going to, but he could turn up in the last heat and you can't back him until he is in a heat. Well, that's just stupid.
And there's only 1 heat to go in the south.
So how can we have a Jules market for 3-year-olds where we put all the horses in and give them a market, but we just add them as they come along here?
I can't answer that, Michael.
It's nonsense, Greg. It's just nonsense. Just don't either open a market or don't open a market. But don't open a market and keep adding horses to it.
Yeah.
That's totally preposterous.
7 horses go to the post in the 4th heat on Friday night. Alexandra Park.
I'll pop along.
Last race it is there, and then the final heat will be at Addington Raceway. Now, you've got horses like Wardan Delight who finished 4th.
That was
get him in.
That was my fault. I backed him.
Yeah, but that might get him in.
It always does.
I think that last heat will be an exceptional one at Addington.
It always gets them in. It does.
Yeah.
Jessie Duke's maybe still the best of them, but you just don't know how steep that improvement curve's going to be.
Well, it's going to be a real steep curve for Ultimate Sniper the way he's going.
That's what I mean. It's hard to
just
work
keeps
out
on.
how quickly he could end up at the top of them. But again, another year where we don't have a definitive favourite. It's going to be a really interesting. When you look at the 3 major races at the Cup Carnival,
normally you can go, that'll probably win. And
usually there's one horse who stands out, but gee, it's going to be a beauty this year. So, looking forward to seeing how this whole thing unfolds. With, of course, another masterpiece not going there because he went to the Breeders' Crown.
It's the Alabar Kaikoura Cup, big day for Alabar there on Monday. Of course, the 2 days, Sunday, Monday. A horse that's heading to the Kaikoura Cup is Pat's Delight. His previous run, of course, came in the Harness Jewels, where he beat Sheriff. This is what he did in the Selwyn Paul Memorial Tuapeka Cup. He did set bolts in here.
Got a star further back, Ideal Draw, but Pat's Delight's left him to it. He's 4, 5 lengths in front. Franco Santino, Sparkling Delight back and away, but welcome back as a 4-year-old. Pat's Delight annihilates him in the Tuapeka Cup. Franco Santino second, third Sparkling Delight.
Yeah, so a brilliant performance. Ricky May driving for Crandell Getty, owned by Pat Kabala. That's why the horse went down there. He's from the south and wanted to see his horse race. He goes from there to Kaikoura. He's a genuine Group 1 horse, as we know. He's already been nosed out in a derby and then won the Jewels.
Once again, that 3-year-old Jewels form and derby form and/or just runs through. Horses who win the 3-year-old Jewels or the Derby go on to be open class horses. I'm not sure where he'll sit as a 2-miler at the top level, which is a big deal because the Auckland Cup and the New Zealand Cup are 2 miles. But he's a horse I could see, Greg, being a huge factor, not only in the 4-year-old races, but Cambridge Flying Miles, free for alls, that type of thing. I'm just not sure he's an out-and-out gut-busting stayer, but he was only beaten a nose in a very quick New Zealand Derby. So his progression will be interesting because he just appeals more as a speed horse, but gee, smashed it.
Speaking of some 4-year-olds, let's go to Ashburton and have a look at Henry Hubert. Now, he was brilliant when driven by Ben Hope, winning a junior drivers race. Then he got beaten by 3 smart All-Stars runners, headed up by All You Need Is Faith. This horse here won the second row, managed to get out into the clear for Gavin Smith, beats Bodine Western up here, broke him into submission and only went 0.2 of a second outside what the Dorchester did last year. He's a really good horse, this guy.
He's indicative of the strength and the weakness of New Zealand harness racing. Horses like him are so good, and horses like Turn It Up, who we see here winning a star-stacked race. He's actually nominated for the Inter-Dominion. If you have a second-tier, really nice 4 to 8 win horse, these races, once the good horses come back, and the done horses are one bunch and Natalie and Mark's horses are the other, they're just about impossible to win. Well, take Pat's Delight, for example. Like, you put these horses in races, and look at the finish here. So all the All-Stars together, and then there's a gap to the other ones.
Yeah.
There's just so hard, they go so fast, and that's one of the reasons people sell horses, because people look at this and they get beat up 3 or 4 times, Ashburton and Cup Week, because they go so fast, and they go, well, I'm going to give up on this.
What do you think of this horse? What do you think of Turn It Up?
I think he's a very good horse because Mark nominated him for the Inter-Dominion, which clearly indicates he thinks he's an open class horse.
There's Lee Pilcher, of course.
Brother of the late Neil, so look, he's nominated for the Interdom. I'm not sure he's going to win Interdom. It's coming around pretty quickly.
That 10th race there the other day was nothing short of outstanding. You know, you go through the field, Swamp Major, Ashley Lopez, Group 1 winner, Turn It Up, a horse that's clearly on the move. Spank Him, All You Need Is Faith, Hale Christian, Sheriff, Rakapukarola.
It's a strength and a weakness. It's great to watch and it's
Sicario.
Incredibly good fun. But if you have a really nice C5, C6 horse from down in the Cargill way, you're thinking, well, I'm not going to take those on.
No.
And if you do take them on and you get beat up 3 or 4 times, it's really easy for your owners to go, well, we're getting offered 80 from Victoria, we'll get rid of them. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't have 2 sets of races. But you do start to wonder whether if you had a not Group 1 type horse in those grades, whether you say, I'm going to race Manawatu or I'm going to race it in Vicargo or Forbury, where there's probably not a lot of glamour. Because going to the big dance is just becoming too tough.
It is.
They go so far. Like, you need a horse who's competitive in the Ashburton Flying Stakes to be competitive in those races.
You do.
And what can you do? As I said,
you can't.
It's a strength and it's a weakness.
It is. Those horses are on the rise. Joe's Dream. We see the end of her career for Amanda Kitty, and didn't she do a magnificent job and dead heating, of course, the Queen of Hearts. That'll be forever where she's remembered.
Well, she won Age Pacing Mirror of the Year.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it's an amazing story, and Amanda Kitty is small-time trainer, Tony Grayling, a part owner of the horse, Andre Patama, of course, his first Group 1 win. They dead heated with a Mark Purdon, Brecon Farms, Party On horse, you know, so the Giants, you know, they were very much the David versus the Goliath. Great story. She'll head to stud now, and look, she has natural speed, and some people really like that in their mares. She's not the biggest, boldest looking mare in the world on type. She's probably not going to leave hugely beautiful foals, but you put her across, say, an Art Major or something, and you might get a bit of size in it. I think if you put it a bit as the light, you might get a pony. So we'll see how we go with it.
And
it's a good story.
Yeah, it is, and she deserves to have this crowning glory as we go to a break. Back shortly on your box seat.
Joan 2 lengths off them as they come for home. Then Opotama, Party On, American Tart. Back over on the inside then to Joe's Dream. It's Party On, Joe's Dream revving up on the HR Fiskin passing lane. Now Bonnie Joan hits her hopples out wide. Party On, Joe's Dream. Bonnie Joan down the outside. A great tussle for Group 1 Glory. Who gets it? It's very, very tight. Very tight on the line. Party On, Joe's Dream. I'm going to stay out of it. It's that close then. Bonnie Joan third. They were followed Sea Swoop, Joy, American Tart, Party.
So the latest developments in the Operation Inca and its ongoing effects in harness racing were heard yesterday in front of the JCA panel out of Addington. The RIU has suggested that they should be an exemption, so some of the drivers who have been charged in the courts of law cannot drive on race day. They can drive at trials and, of course, at the workouts. Their legal teams for what is known as Mr X and Mr Y have challenged that exclusion, and the JCA has reserved that decision. What it basically means is there'll be a decision we expect later this week or at least early next week on whether these two horse people can drive at the races. Now, there has been no other legal challenges so far, but the suggestion is that if these two do win that challenge and can return to driving at the races, then those others who have been charged will also be able to drive at the races. JCA make that decision. It's not now an RIU decision taken out of their hands. Also expedites the process, meaning it doesn't have to go forward to the courts because it would have had to go to the High Court otherwise. So I would expect a decision inside a week, and we will know whether these horse people who have been charged can drive at the races well before cup time, I would suggest. As I said, if they are allowed to drive, it would set a precedent where those others who have been charged but have yet to legally challenge the exemptions will also be allowed to drive. We'll keep you updated as we find out more about this ongoing situation.
Okay, what about racing ahead this week? Let's have a look around this nation of ours. Forbury Park, 5:36 the start time, $40,000 fast track insurance pick 6 there on Thursday evening. Then we go to the park, very interesting night there. We've got an Alabar Sire Stakes Fillies heat. We've also got the Macmillan Equine Feed Sire Stakes heat number 4, and we've got the open class Trotters, Le Mans Temporale and the Bull taking on Jack's Legend. $25,000 late quaddie at Kaikoura on Sunday. Yes, 2-day meeting, 6 races there, 2:52 the start time. Invercargill also on Sunday, 12:25 for their 10 races, getting underway there. And then it is the big day for Kaikoura, 10 races, 12:15 the start time there. Another terminating pick 6, paid about $1,300 at Ashburton on Monday. Group 2 Alabar Kaikoura Cup is one of the features at 4:16. Straight after that we'll have the PGG Wrightson Aged Classic and the South Bay Trotters Cup. Manawa 2 get underway there with a terminating pick 6, $20,000 on Tuesday.
Just a question about that. Last season, Michael House was a huge component of Manawa 2. Have you spoken to him about whether he is looking to go back to the season?
I did a couple of months ago and he was very keen. Okay. I will follow that up though,
because that's got to be a
you'll see
component.
whether he's got runners there on Tuesday, I guess. But
I reckon that's a big deal for them because it's a lot of numbers, but also brings a lot of interest from punters with it. So it's good to have it back anyway. It's an important circuit because it gives second-tier horses a chance.
A big chance.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the preview, starting with Alexandra Park on Friday night. And here's the field, Michael, for Chicago Bulls' return to New Zealand. The first time we'll see him at Alexandra Park, though.
First time for the standing start's crucial now. What you don't see here is Jack's Legends off 10 and Chicago Bulls off 20. So if they begin evenly, Jack's Legend has an advantage there. And I think it's a great chance for him to win. It's never easy off a handicap at Alexandra Park, but put him 3 back on the outside. I think now he'll be fit enough to make his own luck. And therefore, I'll be willing to back him against Chicago Bull, even though his body of work is nowhere as big as Chicago Bull's. Chicago Bull's on a bit of a hiding to nothing. Unless he comes out and wins this, he'll be potted, but winning fresh up, right-handed, first standing start, 20-metre handicap over 2-2, Greg, that is not an
with Mark Shard in front of you, Let's Elope, who's really going well.
Exactly. It's a banana skin race for him. I would say, punters, just be a little careful, because this is a whole bunch of new things in his life.
Kaikoura, massive day there on Monday, off the back of their 6 races there on Sunday, so the concept worked well, or has worked well, so they're going with that again. Let's have a look at Cruz Bromack and his winning performance in the Methven Cup. First up for the All-Stars, gets to the middle of the track here, shows exceptional speed, and the puzzle for Natalie Rasmussen may even get tougher if he wins on Monday.
This is him coming to the outside past Forgotten Highway. Just a question for you. Does he look a natural Kaikoura horse to you?
No.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he'll just nip around there.
Exactly. I've seen him race a lot in Australia. And I'm not saying he's ill-gated, but I'm just not sure he's a Kaikoura horse. I like one in the Kaikoura Cup.
Yes?
Star Galleria. I think he's a good horse when he feels brave. And the closest thing to Kaikoura we have for open class racing in New Zealand is Cambridge. And when he leads at Cambridge, he wins a mile race over Heaven Rocks. Often the Kaikoura Cup can feel like a mile race. They get right up on the nickel. If Star Galleria can step, this becomes a race which is his to lose. But that's staying in front of Eamon Maguire and staying in front of Cruz Bromack. If they get in front of him, things change.
Aged pace, looking forward to that with PGG Wrightson. Cullenburn was back at Addington Raceway, first standing start, handled it with aplomb, had Anthem outside of Michael, and he was good. Of course, he was third in the Sire Stakes as a 3-year-old. I think he's really starting to develop. His frame, he's filled out now, and he'll give you a sight in this, even though he's off 10 metres.
Look, this is a race where manners are so crucial because they just run. They go so fast here, and over the years, very, very few horses have come from further back than 4th with the lap to go to win this race. So I'll have a long think about it before I decide who I'm backing for this one.
Yeah, 14th running of that race, and yeah, I think he'd be really hard to beat in that. There's a couple of races we're really interested in. The return of Mombay taking on Speeding Spur. Now, our statistician, Cameron J. Shaw, who we'll talk about betting-wise very shortly. 5 all it is in the clashes between these two, but they haven't had one for such a long time. We had to go back and have a look at the Anzac Cup of 2016.
So it's 2.5 years ago.
It's quite amazing, isn't it? He was way too good on this occasion. I'm talking about Mombay, but if you go back to the Derby, Speeding Spur and the Sire Stakes had the measure of him. Here's Speeding Spur in front, here's Mombay in the trail in the Harness Jewels colours this day.
God, this is a long time
It is.
So Speeding Spur on this occasion wasn't quite right. He actually missed the Dominion, the Rowe Cup the following week. Mombay won that Rowe Cup. Mombay was a better 4-year-old and has more speed. Speeding Spur was a better 3-year-old, had better manners. This week, Speeding Spur has 2 advantages. He's drawn outside the other horse, so has less traffic concerns potentially, and he's fitter. But nothing would surprise me. If Mombay ran 6th, I wouldn't be surprised, Greg. If he won, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just happy to see him back. You'll be there. Your job for the day, I like giving you little jobs,
yes,
will be to go talk to Greg Hope or maybe Ben Hope and say what's actually going to happen here, because he might even start favourite, which would be kind of weird.
It would be, but it's a huge coup for the club when you consider they had Lazarus last year to bring the people in, and now they've got 2 of our greatest trotters clashing. Speaking of Lazarus...
good news for Lazarus
Good
fans
news.
this morning. He races around Sunday lunchtime New Zealand Breeders' Crown Final. It's $430,000 US, so it's big money, but it's also prestigious for a stallion career. They paid $50K US to get him into the race, supplementary payment, late payment. Drawn barrier 2. Now, Filibuster Hanover's drawn 1, who likes to lead in hand. Lazarus is the most likely horse to get there. Pocono is red hot. They just scoot round there. Mick Wicked's drawn barrier 3. That puts Mick Wicked in a really tricky place, because if he goes 3 fence, then he's giving Lazarus 3 or 4 length start. Lazarus missed that race at Yonkers because he was a little bit crook after the red mile, and I think they're a little bit concerned by that. But speaking to Jimmy Tactor, the blood reports are good on the horse. This is his chance. And New Zealand actually has the favourite in the open Mears pace, and Sha Tin, also drawn barrier 2. Greg, this is not to be underestimated. I know some people don't care about North American harness racing, and most of the time I don't care either. But Shartin and Lazarus could win the 2 open paces at the Breeders' Crown late Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. It's a big deal, and for Lazarus, Greg, this would also qualify him for the TVG final, which is sort of the grand final for the season at the Meadowlands a couple of weeks later. So he wins this. It's not about winning the stake money. This is about winning hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars of service fees over the next couple of years.
Woodlands are our major supporter, as we know. Imran Khan, one of their runners, will see Mark Max gone for him. The horse he's got a share in. Tin Roof Blues there too. So there's a couple of the side selections this week from Woodlands.
And Speeding Spur, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speeding Spur is one of theirs
we look
as well.
forward to seeing him on Monday. What about the bets last week? The boy who can't bet is well and truly giving us...
We should actually stop giving Cameron J. Sure a hard time, because he's your youngest presenter.
Well, he actually... Yeah,
he's actually not 12, he's actually 14.
Right.
He tipped it when he got it winner, so he's in front on the leaderboard, but we were too lazy to actually compile a leaderboard. Here's what actually happened. My one got beat, War Dan Delight, and was a bit unlucky, so then I was yelling for your one to get beat.
Yeah, were you?
Which is a very negative thing to do.
Yeah, lovely.
I was
Thank
actually
you for that.
at home yelling for Zazoe to get beaten. I'm sorry to the forwards, but Tomlinson's, but I hate the thought of you.
What about this week then?
I just hate
That's
it.
lovely, isn't it?
No, it's true.
I've actually gone for a maiden taking on horses that have won races. I'm giving you a chance here. And that's
stop
Honour's
that.
Joy on the first day at
Why does your
Kaikoura.
name go on top there? What, isn't Cameron...
Pecking order,
Why
I
isn't
think.
Cameron on top?
Matt
Because
Cross
he's-
is ahead of Mark McNamara, though.
Why doesn't Cameron go on top?
Okay, when
Like
we
it's a-
compile
like
the
golf?
leaderboard, then we'll find our spots, won't we?
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. McNamara's gone for Imran Khan, which is one of our Woodlands tips this week. Big on personality for the Big Fish. Mind you, he found a $1.38 winner in Pat's Delight last week.
So he gets $38 profit.
That's right.
But we're
Yep.
both minus 100.
Yeah.
This is a bit embarrassing.
Aaron White's gone for one in the Sire Stakes. Cameron Shaw with Zazoe. So he's followed up. Look at Matt Cross. They're trying to dupe me, aren't they, basically?
It's because they're both very young. I've gone for on the cards, and I hate tipping horses from the outside of the gate, but it just won't matter. It'll just win.
Connections of that quite a good pacer, Ultimate Machete. Yeah, apologies there. Egg Roll tipped that, and now he's tipping Having the Faith. So he did used to send us a whole lot of stuff about why you're tipping short price favourites.
So we're going to have a leaderboard at some stage, we're going to rank it on top, which means we're at the bottom at the moment. Hey, very important thing going on in galloping. Young Maya Vance, who's the daughter, of course, Bob and Jenny Vance, and a very good jockey in her own right, had a horrific hurdles fall about nearly 2 months ago now, and she was hospitalised, and she has had some spinal cord damage. It's not going to end her chances of walking, Greg, but she's going to need an enormous amount of physiotherapy and therapy on her back with the hope that she can walk again. So there's a GoFundMe page for Maya, and she's a very personable, nice young lady. She's taken to this battle with no negativity. She's been so positive about it, Greg. Anybody who knows her should be so proud of her. I'm sure Bob and Jenny are. You can get on that GoFundMe page and just look out for somebody who deserves her chance to get her full mobility back. So Maya, we're all behind you, as is everybody here at the Racing Board and the TAB and the racing industry. So there's more information available for that on our Facebook page as well. But yeah, all hoping, Maya, that we see you back at the races, walking around before too long.
Yeah, certainly echo those sentiments. Michael, thanks for your time. I'll be at Kaikoura. And
no, hold on. You're going to Moonee Valley, aren't you?
Well, I'm heading there as well.
You're going to the Valley to see Winks. How does that even work?
Well, let's just not
Are you
go
just that
into that
important
at this
now?
stage.
On that subject, someone else has been a bit crook. Good luck to Pitty. Good luck to the Pittman team. Michael, Matthew, Diane.
Savvy Cope.
Chris Johnson, Savvy Cope, Winks on Saturday. You might need more than luck, but who knows?
All right.
Miracles happen, Gregory.
Yep, they do. That's been your box seat. See you in 7 days' time. We'll do it all again.